What's up? What's up? What's up? Party people in the house. Welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Before we kick it off today, when I mean kick it, I mean kick it. Before I bring on my guest message of the week, this is something I just recently, many of you know, I've been training jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai for about just over 6 years now, but took my first MMA class last week. Proper ass whooping, speaking of kicks. Anyways, this is something that the instructor said, and I'm venturing to guess my guest today will strongly agree with this. He said, if you want to win, you don't come out and just try to win. You don't come out and try to knock the other guy out. You position yourself to win by becoming unbeatable. Then your chances to win go way up. Applies in business as well. Don't let yourself get beat down, and your chances to succeed in whatever you're trying to do are going to go way up. With that, we're zooming to Virginia Beach, Virginia today, a place that I lived some 20 years ago. Welcoming to the show, Loushin. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on, man.
So what are your thoughts on that quote?
I think it's an awesome quote. If you know that your defense is set so well that you don't have to worry about losing, then you can just focus on getting the submission or the knockout. If you're not worried about defense, then you can focus on the offense, and you know the defense is going to be there when you need it. So set yourself up to win.
Exactly. So like I said, I just, took my first MMA class, and we're talking at Henzo's headquarters in Midtown.
Yeah, that's a good place to take your first class.
I mean, again, I got 6 years of prep, in Muay Thai and kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, but yeah, I just was not prepared for those first couple classes, and just, there are pro fighters in there and just getting barraged, man, even with the shin pads, and like nothing hurt. It's just jarring. You're just like, yo, I just got punched in the face.
Well, but everybody's all pumped up after the Who's Number One championships this weekend. And the UFC fights this weekend. I mean, it was an action-packed weekend of fighting. So now you get back in the gym and people are ready to go.
Yeah.
Time to first start your MMA class.
And a lot of these guys have fights coming up. There's a lot of stuff going down regionally throughout the Northeast from now through December. And these guys, some of them are in camps already, and they're taking every advantage. It's like, oh, that's nice. It's your first day. It's nice that you're 45 years old starting MMA. I was going to kick your ass though.
Yeah, I mean, we got the No-Gi Worlds coming up next weekend, so everybody's training hard for that, and it's kind of our last few hard training sessions. So we don't want to take any of that time off.
So with that, we have to give everybody your background. Will here is a gym owner, is jiu-jitsu and MMA coach. So give everybody just a quick backstory on your spots. And also a former training partner of my brozinho, that one's, shout out Jacob Fox, the pinche Haposa.
Yeah, so we got Grindstone Athletics in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're just a champion level martial arts studio. It's not a jiu-jitsu place. If you want to come to fight. So we got Muay Thai, we got the no-gi grappling. Pretty much if you want to become an MMA fighter, you want to become a striker or a grappler, it's a great place to be. We also have all the strength and conditioning that you would ever need. We got all the weights, we got all the stones and the kettlebells and rowers, everything that you need to become a full level fighter. We don't focus on like the traditional style martial arts. So we're not in a gi ever. We're not in like taekwondo or karate gi. We are strictly, you put on the sweats, you put on the rash guards, and we hit it extremely hard. So that's Grindstone Athletics in Virginia Beach. And then I also train under Scott Oates, where Jacob also trained at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu, right down the road from Grindstone. So
nice. So Grindstone is in Kempsville as well?
No, it's just right down the road on Princess Anne in Wichita. So like Wichita. Literally, like I teach the kids class at Virginia Beach until 6. And I drive right over, and I'm teaching class at 6:30 at Grindstone. So yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, it's interesting because my grandfather owned a house on that street just a couple blocks down for like like 70 years or something crazy like that. Close to. I think he bought the house. Again, maybe like 60. I think he bought the house in the 60s on Princess Anne, just, you know, going towards Norfolk.
Yeah.
Like it was a 2-lane road with nothing on it. And then like,
and now, yeah,
it flourished, and now there was a have jujitsu.
all of it. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I trained is it Kaizen still? They still call it that?
no, that's what. So it started as Kaizen, and then
Okay.
it got bigger. It became Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu.
Gotcha. So I trained at it years ago when it was Kaizen still. Just one time, got a proper ass whooping in there too. It's funny. I just go ahead.
It was a small little space then, right? Just that one small little space, or did it have the bigger one?
No, it had the bigger one. So when you first came in, they just did like kids classes on the small mat, and then you go into the bigger room. But the sign still said Kaizen. I don't know if that was a wrap already, but it was funny. I just gotten my blue belt like 2 weeks before. So I come in there, and it was the first time I trained at another school other than the one that I started at. And like, I was like, boy, I should have brought the white belt to that school. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's the problem with getting promoted. Like, you get treated like that right away. So
right away,
then you're like, I'm gonna treat this guy like a white belt. But soon, like, I don't know how much. I don't know if you're almost getting ready for purple belt, blue belt, or you just got it. So you get treated the same way.
Everybody thought I was getting ready to get the purple belt, and they just.
Yeah.
I was the mop head and they were the janitor, and I got very familiar with the floor in there.
So a funny story, when I was the general manager at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu, we had a guy come in, right? And he forgot it. He didn't have his gi. So we had loaner gis, and then we just handed him a white belt. And he puts on this white belt. So everybody starts to roll. They give the slap bump, and they're like kind of going nice and easy, trying to see and he's a brown belt. So he's just like, we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And we got to like catch up to this guy. So I was like, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore. So I take one of the white belts, I bring it home, and I get some blue dye. I get some purple dye. I get some brown dye, some black. I put all the colors. So now it's called the mystery belt. So treat this guy like you don't know what he knows. So nobody gets caught with that white belt who's actually a brown belt anymore.
That's really awesome. I heard it at Henzo's before I started training there that a guy came in and forgot his belt, and he was a purple belt, and they just like reached in the bin and they're like, well, we don't have any purples. Here's a blue belt. And he went and trained and he got promoted to purple belt again. They were like, oh, good job. Come to the front. We have something for you.
There we go. That's hilarious.
No. They were like, yeah, good job. You go now. You're going to get heel hooked.
That's great.
So I noticed on your Instagram feed, you was like the heel hooks. You was like to do the leg locks.
Yeah, I've been on the leg lock game since way back. So now that it's coming around, it's nice to see everybody else kind of doing it as well.
My brother still
they're surpassing what I know though. So I was doing it when nobody knew, so it was easy. Now everybody's keen to it. I'm like, dang.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tell you what, being in Henzo's room, even though Danaher's moved on now, there are so many guys that are so great at it. Why my brother was not like the leg locks. He was not like heel hooks. What's the matter with him, man?
I don't understand it. People say it's dangerous, but honestly, like I fear the Kimura more than anything.
Yeah, right.
If I catch your heel and pinch your knees, you're gonna be like, okay, tap. You probably got it. I've seen people fight tooth and nail on that Kimura, and all of a sudden it just pops up and pops behind the back, and it's like, I'm going full force this way, you're going full force the other way. And as soon as you let go, I'm bringing it behind your back and over your head before you can tap. So it's that one scares me.
Yeah, I agree. I've gotten caught in a couple of those really quick ones lately. And I got choked unconscious recently too, like fully on. I've gotten like really close, but I went like out recently. And I have a new spec for the cross collar.
Yes.
It came on quick. It was cool. I was like, it was funny because I was going to tap. Like my hands were tied up and I was raising my leg to do like the foot tap. Yeah. And it just never, I remember raising my leg and it never came down, I guess. And I thought I fainted. I didn't know what happened. And they're over me like shaking my legs. And I'm like, I passed out. And they're like, no, man, you didn't tap. And I was like, and it was funny because it was such a great feeling. Like once I realized like nothing bad happened, I was so refreshed. I can't remember feeling that awake and alive in recent history. I was like, there's time on the clock still. Let's go. And they're like, okay. And I finished the round.
I was about to ask that. I was like, how did you feel? I bet you woke up feeling
fucking amazing.
Right?
I felt like I was like 15 again. You know, I was just like, woo, like Ric Flair, man. It was
every time I wake up, I'm like, yeah.
But there was that moment where I was like, it was my third session that day. I did the morning class at Hinto's. I did a park workout with some friends of mine, and then I went to Gregor's. I interviewed his business partner, and it was before the interview, and they were having a noon class. And I was like, fuck it. I brought a gi, hopped on, hour and a half in, and I was like, I passed out. I overdid it, and they were like, nah. So once I realized that it wasn't that, there was a moment of panic, you know, where I was like, shit, old man passed out, and they're like, no, you didn't. You old man didn't tap, and I was like.
1 second earlier.
Well, it's funny because right before that, I didn't know any of these guys either because it's not my regular gym.
Yeah.
I was training with a guy right before that. He was a blue belt, and he's trying to do like this, like a bow and arrow variation, but it was all off, and he's yanking, and I'm just looking at him. And he finally was like, aren't you concerned? And I was like, well, no, it's not a joint lock. I was like, even if you had it, worst thing that would happen is I go to sleep, but you don't have it. And we corrected it, and I tapped. And then the next round, he was like, man, I can't be going to sleep. The next round, I get choked out. His eyes were this big when I came to. He's like, you weren't playing. And I was like, nah, man, I'm the heel one.
That's hilarious, man.
Good times. So before we go to our first break, I'm curious, how did you end up in martial arts? And we'll talk further about how it became like a profession, but what was the thing that got you? I know you're a Marine and you have lots of combat background. Was it something other than that?
Not really. I mean, I wrestled in high school. I was a pretty decent wrestler. I actually sucked like my freshman and sophomore year. I don't think I won a single match. And all of a sudden something happened my junior year. I started doing real good. And then my junior year did really good. And my senior year I was like 35-0 or something like that. So I went, I don't know, I turned the corner. And then kind of just got into judo a little bit too to help. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and I ran into somebody, actually the guy who started Kaizen. I ran into him. He was a staff sergeant, and I just got into the same unit, and I went out and watched one of his fights, and I was like, ooh, I want to do that. He was an MMA fighter, and just kind of snowballed from there.
Gotcha. Did you grow up in the area, or did you go to school elsewhere?
No, I'm originally from Colorado. So.
Okay. And you ended up, I'm assuming, because of the military in
the military.
And
I mean, out here, I've been out here a few times. There's a security force company that's out here that I've been a part of a couple times. So.
Okay. Awesome. Nice. Cool. So we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll talk about more how like it turned professional, because a lot of people they're not successful at taking something like you just saw this, you were passionate about it, and you're like, well, how do we make this legit? How do I make money off of this? Which is not always an easy task. So hang tight, everybody. We're going to pick back up with that in just a few. Cool. All right, folks, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Today, we're zooming to Virginia Beach, Virginia, talking to Will Loushin. He's a gym owner there of Grindstone Athletics, which is an MMA-focused gym. He's also a martial arts instructor. You still teaching at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, just the kids, though.
Yeah. So that's the sweet spot, because they can do anything. I love it. I taught a bunch of kids at the last place that I was at. I would teach adults and kids, but the kids are fearless. You fucking try to teach a break fall to like a 50-year-old man. He's like, I ain't doing it, man. Kids are like, they're like back flipping into it, and their sprawls are amazing. Kids are amazing. I love it.
I agree. I also think it takes the right person, and it takes somebody who knows how to break down their technique all the way to the very, very itty bitty. Like it's crazy. And then I use some of those little keynotes to teach my adults sometimes. Like I got little theories like chasing the candy bar and like all these little things, ditties that I give to the little kids. And I'm like, hey, chase the candy bar, and they get it. So like, this is what I teach my kids. So if that helps you. And then a lot of people come up like, dude, that helped a lot. I'm like a 40-year-old man chasing the candy bar.
Exactly. No, teaching kids I taught more kids than adults, but when I would go into the adult class, you know, you switch gears a little bit, but like sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes that little nugget from the kids class, or we do these drills, and I'd be like, yeah, we totally got to make the adults do this, because first of all, it's gonna be funny, but it's gonna help them ultimately, and just, you know, break down those barriers that prohibit one from being their best at jiu-jitsu. So we were talking in the first segment, you were in the military, in the Marines, ended up in the the military capital of the East Coast, and saw, started training. You had some combat experience, saw some lab training, saw some MMA. You're like, I want to do that. Got into training, and at a certain point, you transitioned from being just a student to actually monetizing that passion. Were you in like the military, like young, like a lot of people come in like 18, 19, 20 years old?
Yeah, I was 18.
What,
18 when
yeah,
I
that was happening.
So I came in when I was 18. I went to the infantry, did the infantry thing for a while, but then after my deployments to Iraq, so I was with the invasion, and then we went back, and then I got orders out here to a training command, so I was just teaching. So op tempo went from like just slammed, you didn't have any type of like social life, to I got out here, I was teaching throughout the day, but I'd be done by like 4 p.m. So I ran into an MMA fighter. He was a staff sergeant. He was an instructor too. So we just started training together. We kind of put together this little amateur team. So we just trained together. We all did pretty well. And then I eventually went pro as an MMA fighter while I was still in the Marine Corps. So that's pretty much all the money I made doing jiu-jitsu or doing MMA for a while. And then I went back to the fleet, deployed a whole bunch more times. And in 2013, I think, I got sent down to Guantanamo Bay to be the operations chief. So I was in charge of the fence line security. But my wife was like, why don't you're really good at jiu-jitsu, you love it. Instead of just training people here and there, why don't you like form like an actual school? So I actually went through like the Marine Corps, like the MWR, so the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation League, and it's like, hey, I want to teach jiu-jitsu. I got these are my credentials. So they signed up kids. We had a kids class and an adult class 3 times a week, and that's when I first started actually running a program. And we actually had, I think, like 20 some kids and about 15 to 20 adults at almost every class. So that was my first experience running a program, especially something where money's coming in. So now I feel obligated. It's not even like, hey, you guys want to go train? It's like, I have to be there now. So that's where I started. And then I eventually retired, moved back up to Virginia, and I was helping Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu while I was in the Marine Corps. And then as soon as I got out, I got hired as like their general manager / kids combat, or the competition instructor, and did that for a little while. Learned a lot as just a general manager. I'm trying to learn through everybody else's mistakes and everybody else's business, and using their money before this is what I'm going to do. So I'm like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do this. Maybe I would do that differently. Making a lot of little mental notes when it's everybody else's money that gets played. So when I start my thing, I knew what I wanted. So
that's a good move. I did a bit of that, but I still made a shit ton of mistakes along the way.
Oh, yeah.
But I had the same kind of training ground in terms of business, where I was the GM for a number of like small companies. And got to see, how they did things, and like, oh, I wouldn't do that, or that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Making those notes. So when did you open Grindstone?
Grindstone's been open about 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you opened pre-pandemic, had some of that pre-pandemic success.
Yes. And then all of a sudden it was like,
yeah,
that was rough. That was really rough.
Sure.
For a while. I mean, I think we're doing well now, but I still don't think we're back to where we were. I'm not 100% on the numbers, but we're pretty much there. But oh man, I don't know where we would have been where we could be without that little pause. But I'm just thankful that that's kind of over. People are starting to not be so afraid of it. So we're getting our numbers back up pretty well.
That's great to hear. It's been similar, like the restaurant industry has been the same. And we're not quite back, and there's the fear thing, but man, Jim's got it worse. I mean, at least we could do takeout. How do you do takeout fitness?
Yeah, well, we actually did online classes for a while. We had people that were asking if we could, so we're doing like almost like Zoom meeting class instructionals on how, like, I was just trying to do like, what kind of drills would I do if it was just me? So I had like flip-flops on the floor, and I was doing footwork with just some flip-flops as my opponent. It was crazy. we're doing all sorts of creative things to try and get the work in. People were like punching their little pillows or whatever. They grab a cushion and punch the pillows. It was bad. But with spouses that finally got into it, that we were trying to like, hey, the husband would come in and train 3 times a week, and the spouse would come in once in a while and watch. And we're like, why don't you jump on the mats? And now, since they were forced to be at home, they're like, she's holding the pad. Now she wants to punch it. So they've actually started. We've had a couple people where she didn't want it, and now she's in training.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, we've been forced to find like silver lining like that, and you know, kudos to you for getting creative and going after it. I know a lot of places that didn't do that, and that, you know, it has brought people in that normally wouldn't have, or you got to see who was really dedicated, like all the people that like. I was with a group of like 15 or 20 guys through the entire pandemic. We were like, we are training regardless. Like I trained in a motorcycle shop. I mean, I trained in all kinds of crazy places. And it was just like, no, this is your crew right here. This is your, I don't know, what would be the akin in the military, like your command. Your squad. Like these guys got, you know, we got each other's back and we got through it. What was I going to say? What, you know, going from you being like the GM at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu, transitioning to Grindstone, like how long did that take? How long were you just working at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu, and what was, like, not in terms of like actual dollars, you know, but what was funding like were you working like an extra side job to like put money away? Did you have money put away? Were you able to do this on a budget?
Yeah, so while I was at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu, and then as I was transitioning and trying to get the Grindstone program up and everything, I was actually using my GI Bill through. So it's I can't even remember what it's called now, but basically I was going to school, so they were paying me like $2,500 a month just to go to school, and I was not doing great in class because I was just like, I just need to have this on paper that I'm doing school. But that was my focus. I missed so much class because I was like, man, this is just basically like a job that I don't even have to go to. I already had a degree somewhere else, so I'm like, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and be like, I'm gonna be doing really bad in these classes. So I did that. That was where my income was coming from. My wife, she's got a pretty good job, so we were doing well there. But we were able to, and then just surrounding myself with the right people. I got a great Muay Thai guy. I got a great, like, so everybody there. We all own it, and it's not just my business.
Right.
I went in with the right people who also have the passion, the work ethic, the drive, and they also have their side things that don't take away from what we need to do. There's some people where you like try and get into a business with them, but they have so much going on everywhere else that I don't want that. I don't want my business with you to be like your fourth priority. So it's like, if it's my first priority and it's your fourth, then I'm going to be doing a lot more work, and that kind of goes like, I don't want to be in that situation. So it wasn't as difficult. I mean, it was scary. It was like, it's a leap of faith, I guess, but it was exciting. It was very exciting because it's first time. I mean, with being in the military, everything was directed. Like, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. I can go find a manual and be like, all right, well, I need to figure out how to do this. Everything's written down somewhere. You just have to be able to find it. And now jiu-jitsu was the same way. I always had somebody telling me how to do the technique, what technique I should learn. I would give my curriculum to somebody to review. Now it's like, this is yours. Like, good. I don't know. Good luck. Take care of it. It's like, okay, here we go. So there's no more asking questions. It was kind of like, I gotta do what I need to do. But at the same time, I know people in the community where if I had an issue, I could be like, hey, what would you do in this situation? But ultimately it's my decision. So that's the scariest part, I guess.
No, great. Those are some gems. Yeah, I never got that entrepreneurial handbook either. I'm like, where's the net that's supposed to catch me? It's not. I don't see it.
I think it's right next to the one where they're supposed to give you when you have a kid. Like, this is how you. It's the same.
I think the kids are scarier to me than the businesses. I'll open a business overnight and don't care anymore. But kids, oh my God, if I have another one, fuck. It's almost like fighting too, right? Like that kind of like, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you have to find out. You're
Yep.
like, we're doing this anyways, right? I mean, I haven't hopped in the cage or anything. So
Yeah, that little clink of the doors shutting is like, oh, here we like walking up to the cage. You're like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why did I do this? Why did I do it the whole time? And then you get in there and it kind of like, no, I'm comfortable. This is my home. So it's almost the same thing. Like going to that gym, I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? Oh my God. And then I walk in the gym and it's like, this is home. I feel safe. I feel comfortable. Like I'm good here. But it's that walk there or that walk up to it where you're like, oh my God, everything's wrong. Everything's going to fall apart. And then you get there and it's kind of calming.
Yeah. I think they say the first step is always the hardest.
Yes.
Yeah. Just getting the momentum. And I agree. I have partners everywhere. I don't do anything alone. Strategic alliances and having that really good workflow. And we're all of us are involved in so many things, but we know what to bring to what table.
Yes.
And it's like, as long as you have that understanding, you build this great foundation and you can just keep going and going and going.
Exactly. Yep.
When that happens, it's really dope. All right. We're going to take another break. Everybody, don't go nowhere. We're going to get a fight. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Again, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, zooming to Virginia Beach, Virginia today, talking to Grindstone Athletics.
Yes.
I got it right? Okay. It's a lot of words in there. Was hard to remember all that stuff. Grindstone Athletics owner, Will Loushin. He's also a martial arts instructor at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu. Been talking about his time in the Marines, transitioning from a general manager at Virginia Beach Jiu-Jitsu into opening his own school, which emphasizes mixed martial arts. So you're not going to see any guys wearing pajamas. And there was only going to be maybe some bare-chested men's and some tight shorts and a mouthpiece. And that was all you just have to wear there.
I want to put on gloves.
What's that? And some gloves. Yeah. I had to do that for Jacob. That was for my brother. So he trained with my brother. And he came on our Instagram live, the Sorrel Brothers Oddcast, and we had a great time, but always fascinated. So the premise of this show is entrepreneurship, but if I can rope in fitness and martial arts and find a guy that does all of it, that was touched my heart.
Trifecta.
So, yes, that's where we're at today. So it's such a pleasure. And to throw it out there, like I just got out of a clubhouse, a business clubhouse room where I was the topic of discussion for the day and about folding in. Like I will open an academy. Like I've never said that. I don't know if I've ever said that on the show, but for all of you, like I will open a school one day. I have a studio.
Well, now. There we go.
Yeah. No, I started a studio in the middle of the pandemic because there were guys that, not with the guys that I trained with before, because we're all like the same level. I'm not gonna that's kind of like not cool, So it benefited them because the money I made from teaching beginners, especially like mainly not so much jiu-jitsu, but definitely Muay Thai and just general fitness, covered the cost of the whole thing, and then allowed the other guys, my jiu-jitsu brasileños, to come in and like just come in and train and have fun. The whole point was just to keep it going, but now like there's so many schools closed around us. I don't know if the same is true in Virginia, but Jesus, man, there were first of all, there were a lot of schools. There was probably oversaturation. Schools and restaurants in New York, it was bananas. And some of them left and some of them should have gone. And we lost some that should not have. Some that were like the school that I was at. This is one of their old shirts. It was Windsor Terrace is a neighborhood. It was called Sun Dojo. 5 doors down from my restaurant. I always just had a bag packed and ready to go. Anytime there was a free moment, boom, I'm going in to train. And it was just such a great place for the community. It was locally owned by a couple. They were both black belts. Their kids went to school with our kids. They were just amazing people. And they just took the community from here to here. And it would have gone so much farther. And unfortunately, it was the second school that they lost. They lost one to a natural disaster via Hurricane Sandy, back in 2012. They were like right on the water in the Rockaways.
That's right.
And now it's like, how many beatings can you take? It's tough. Yep. It's really tough. And this had no end in sight. And we'll get back to that in just a minute. But I forgot the point. Wait, remember, we need away from that. But definitely. Oh, I was saying like I will open some sort of school that deals with fitness and or martial arts at some point. So it's fascinating for me to talk to somebody that's already done it. So I'm learning from your mistakes the way you learn from other ones.
Yes.
Hopefully, we'll hope. I'm kind of stubborn, so sometimes I don't learn. I just.
Well, also sometimes I think like when I was a general manager, I was like, "Ooh, this is a mistake. I don't know about this." And then now, like going back, I'm like, "Ooh, nope, they were right.
That was not a mistake."
Yeah, that was not a mistake. That was very well planned out. I just didn't see it at the time.
Yeah, and that's growth in martial arts and training in general, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're gonna see like a dip in numbers because you make a change and you're like, "Oh no, that's the wrong one," and then all of a sudden it just shoots up. You're like, "Oh, maybe we got rid of the people that didn't need to be there," type of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
our gym is like everybody there is super passionate about not only their style or so I got a Muay Thai guy who loves Muay Thai. He's fighting for Lion Fights, like one of the premier Muay Thai organizations. He's got a fight in December. I'm going out to the world. So we don't just teach it, we're actually still in it, doing it. And it's not about making millions of dollars. It's about being able to express our art and deliver it to other people. And I think those type of places, you can tell when you walk in that the people there aren't just like trying to, hey, sign up for this, sign up. We actually have clauses that are basically, if we don't think you're a good fit with our gym, because we're not a cookie cutter, just come in and pretend like you want to do martial arts. If you're not there to train, or you kind of like, we hear like you're bad mouthing other students, or you come in and you just destroy everybody and you don't let anybody else train. Like, we have little clauses that say, if you're not a good fit, we can say you can't be here anymore. So I think gyms like that, you can tell. And those are the ones you want to stay. Mm-hmm. They're not the ones who thrive, who are just making hand over fist. So this pandemic, I saw some gyms who were, I'm like, dang, I can't believe they were gone. But it was one of those things where they didn't care about their numbers. They cared about their quality over quantity. And it hurt them when the pandemic hit. So it was one of those scary things.
Yeah, no, I think that is at least part of the reason why the school I was at closed, because they were the same way. And I was teaching there, and they were starting to like onboard me into like, how do we accept students? And, I was so passionate about it and I loved it so much. I was recommended it to everybody, and they were like, that we don't want everybody. And I was like, oh, and I'm a business guy. I'm a salesman. I'm like, come to my restaurant, all of you. I want you all, and they were like, no, we don't want that. And they were same, like if you weren't driving with the crowd, man, they'd be like, all right, it's time for you to go. And it's not like you're gonna battle them on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
we haven't really had to deal with anything. Everybody comes in is pretty chill, or they kind of find their own way out if they're not fit. Like, they're not, this isn't their type of, because I mean, we have kind of like an old school vibe. We have like, we have like sayings on the wall. We have people who just write military quotes or whatever all over our walls. It's not like nice, pristine. It's a dirty, grungy, like get down and fight type of mentality. So
wow, you're really selling this one.
My want to come be dirty. A fighter?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not dirty. It's very clean. We clean it, but it's a little grungy. Like, get down and gritty. So
gritty. That's a good word.
Gritty. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm not a poet.
He's like, there was hangworm on the wall.
But yeah, no, that the passion, you can tell when owners have it, and you can tell when they're just kind of there to, hey, just buy this real quick, and whatever you need, we'll tailor our stuff to you. It's like, no.
And everything degenerates when that happens. Like the instruction degenerates, and my old instructor was hard fast against that. He was like, you are not moving this rock. And it was great to witness that, because it's and I want to close after we come back from our next break with this, but it informed my business sense so much. I mean, it helped me in martial arts for sure, but like watching that operation helped me in my businesses. And I was like, oh, like this is not just training for self-defense and all that. helps in so many other aspects of your life.
Yes. Yep. The discipline is huge.
Yeah. And so what I do want to touch on with that though is like, you know, you talked about it earlier, like some of your solutions and some of the things you did when the pandemic set in, but like in terms of your internal dialogue, like what was going through your head when they were like, oh, it's just closed for 2 weeks, well maybe 4, and like what we're doing is the antithesis of social distancing. I'm like, I want to be as close to you as possible. I want to know without you telling me what you have for breakfast this morning.
Yes. It's still in your beard a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think my time in the Marine Corps really helped right there, because when you're like boots on the ground, something happens, you can't feel sorry for yourself. Like, oh, well, this is the situation. Like, the situation is not going to change regardless of what you think about it. So you got to find solutions to whatever the situation is. I can't change. Like, if I could get rid of the pandemic, I totally would have, but I can't. So our mentality was like, okay, this is the issue we have now. This is the way it has to be. So going forward, we have to do certain things. And obviously everybody was extremely worried. So that, especially that first 2 weeks, we were all about it. Like, hey, we are going to need everybody to stay away. If you have a workout program already set up with our strength and conditioning coaches, we'll send it to you and we'll try and modify it so you're not using any weights. Let us know what you have and we'll kind of modify it. On that note, we also had people come in and basically check out gear from our facility. So like, hey, if you don't have anything at your house, come grab a kettlebell and a couple dumbbells and we'll check it out to you. We'll wipe it all down before you return it, do the same thing. So we were trying to keep, because everybody thought it was 2 weeks. We're like, 2 weeks, that's not. I actually was I was beat down. Like, I had so many tournaments in a row and I was training for like almost 2 years straight. I was kind of happy. I was like, like, it's mandatory. I'm not even allowed to go train. So it's not even like, well, I shouldn't train, but I'm going to. It was like, I can't. So like, I started actually feeling better. My knuckles, I could actually grab things in the morning. I was like, wow, my fingers work.
Turn doorknobs.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, that's amazing. So, yeah, but I think the mentality was just like, all right, here's the problem, figure out solutions. We could sit there and complain about the problem all day long, but we need to come up with solutions. And then eventually it turned into like, all right, here's the people we trust the most. Like you said, my squad. And we're like, all right, well, the gym is closed. Too bad it's closed at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so we were doing some behind the scenes training. Yeah. And then, but I mean, I think we had a pretty good mindset. We got a good group of athletes who we could trust also to train hard on their own as much as we could allow it. So I'm sure there were some people who were like, here's your program. And they were like, okay, cool. And didn't do all of the things, but most of the guys were like, hey, I need more. Like, I'm used to training harder. So give it. So we were doing everything we could. We would do, like, I would use, like, my wife does jujitsu. So I would use her as like like my demonstrator. So I would teach a class with just her. And then I would put it out on, we had like the Google Drive. So I was just throwing, I do that anyway. Like, everybody who's my student, I have a Google Drive, and it's like half guard sweeps, mount attacks. So I have stuff that I throw in there. So in case somebody misses a class, I don't have to like reteach that class real quick. I'm like, if you miss a class, just please go click on the video, because I'm probably going to add on or teach you the defense to whatever I just taught. So we just amped that up to like the 9th degree.
Nice. Yeah, my entire family trains, my wife and my daughters, and I was doing the same, like little just short Instagram and Facebook videos, and I would just grab whoever was walking by, and like my 3-year-old, like, God, walk, come here, and just it was great times. All right, we're gonna take one last break and come back and just straight up talk about martial arts mentality and the world. So awesome. Everybody, see you in a minute. All right, everybody, last round, ding, 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 talking with Will Loushin, owner of Grindstone Athletics. Question, why Grindstone? What does that mean to you in your business?
Grindstone is just, that's our mentality. Just grind it out. Get to work and just grind. And
nailed it.
everybody wants to get in the cage, but nobody wants to go through the grindstone to get ready to go to the cage.
Well, that's like what Jamie said, the MMA instructor. He's like, everybody wants to win, but nobody wants to defend. It's like you don't just like you don't walk off home run without the grind. It does not happen, you know.
I mean, I see a lot of people, they come in and they say, oh, I want to be an MMA fighter. And we're like, oh, that's awesome, but let's pump our brakes a little bit. Do you want to train? Like, how hard do you want to train? Because anybody can walk in the cage on fight night.
You said, what? Do you want to get punched and kicked in the face? A lot of times, like many times. Like, you just crack them as soon as somebody comes in and says, I want to be an MMA fighter. It's just like if they're like, okay, yeah, no, it's okay, keep going. All right, now you're, because goddamn, that just happens so many. Like I've been hit in the face before, but never that many times, like repeatedly. And just like by different guys, and like everything I did was wrong. And I did. The worst part about it was because I pride myself on my ability to stay calm under pressure and maintain my breathing. Are you familiar with 2 books this guy wrote? I forgot. On Combat and On Killing.
Oh yeah, Colonel Grossman.
Yeah. So I read On Combat and like the whole thing about breathing, and I was like, shit, man. So even like starting new schools, working with like black belt, 3rd degree black belt I never trained with before, just breathe. Don't worry. Just man, I lost my breath big time. I was like sucking wind. I was like, and I wanted to sit out, and he was like, nope. And I was just like, fuck. Like, it was awful. By my 3rd class, I got at least that. I still got punched and kicked in the face, but I was like, whatever, that's gonna happen anyways. I didn't lose my breathing, and I was like, thank you, Grossman.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is the experience of like that interpersonal violence. It's different than jiu-jitsu. It's not like.
Well, and it makes all those techniques all that more valuable. Whereas like this guy got an amount, and this guy just started wailing on me. And the instructor said, you know, you get down to the ground, you can do some work for a minute, but then we were doing clinch work that day. He's like, stand back up. This guy was not getting up. He's just punching me. And I was just like, I thought we were done. So, man, I've never knee bumped to a bridge so hard in my life. I was like, oh, that's why we train that. Like, you know, in jiu-jitsu, you're like, oh, bump them forward, do it gently. Don't want to hurt your training partner. I was like, I want to hurt you. I want to get you off me. Yeah, fucker. It was crazy. So perfect segue into like other benefits for like this kind of training, especially now that you're a fighter, but also a business owner. What have been some of the big takeaways for you from training that translated into running a business?
Number one, so the 2 things I always tell my kids that I need from them: focus and discipline. Those 2 things that I took as a fighter, as an instructor now, and then as a business owner, you need to know. If you're trying to do a million things at the same time, you're not going to get any of them done correctly. So you got to know what your focus needs to be, and then the discipline to do it. And sometimes the discipline not to do something. Like, I want to do this so bad, but it's not the right time, or there's a lot of things we have planned for the future, but I want to do it so bad, but it's like, I need to have the discipline to not do it right now because we have certain things coming down the pipeline, and I need them all to work correctly. But I'm so excited about some of the stuff we're going to do, and I want to like put it out. I want to advertise it now, but I got to have that discipline of just hold back and trust our process and trust our ideas on what we plan on doing. So the focus and discipline is a huge part of fighting. And then I think it translates to anything you do in life, running a business or being a parent, whatever, that focus and that discipline, do the things or not do the things that you're supposed to or not supposed to do.
That's great. Wonderful. Like huge mic drop, especially the part about not doing. And this came up in the clubhouse room I was in, because I was like, where I'm at right now, I can't move because like I can't get staff back. You know, it's hard getting people back. Money's great. Business is great. I can't even market because I can't handle any more business.
Yeah. Yep.
In terms of like what I have on my plate right now. And it's funny because some of the people on the panel, they were like, it's funny, you don't seem stressed. You're not like, I don't get this sense of like urgency or desperation. I'm like, no, that's not the case. It's like, I want to be strategic about, I want to pave this road because I've done the dirt road, like the ones we grow up with in Brazil in the favelas and was not comfortable. Did not like that. So I don't want to do that again. I want
Yeah.
I want this one to be smoother.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, I can't make that move yet, but I'm like, I've got my eye on it. I guess
know where I want to go, like
focus.
tactical patience.
Yeah, nice. And I guess the military helped ingrain some of that as well.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's
Don't
great.
pull that trigger until you are in the perfect position.
So go ahead.
Say it. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So especially like the sniper community, like there's plenty of opportunities to pull the trigger, but can I pull the trigger, not be seen, and then evade? So it's like I need to wait for the perfect moment, not just like, well, it looks good from here. So that tactical patience is huge. Know when to attack and when to set up the attack.
Great. So that being said, you don't have to disclose too much. What's your future vision for Grindstone or your involvement in the martial arts community as a business owner?
We definitely plan on moving to a bigger facility. So right now we have one large mat, and then we've got like the strength and conditioning training area. So we kind of all have to fit our schedules into that one mat, but we're going to get into a position where we have separate mats. So basically each instructor has their own mat. So we can run multiple classes at the same time. Even if it's the same class, but two different portions of the class. So we can do MMA, stand up with our Muay Thai instructor, and I'll take some of the grapplers over, and then almost like switch, go back and forth. So it's not like here's your Muay Thai class, and then that instructor walks off, and then here's your grappling class. So we can kind of combine a little bit better, and we can circuit in like the strength and conditioning. So hey, you got a three mat round robin. So we can kind of tag team everything to make it much more difficult. I think one of the big things that I want to do in the strength and conditioning, the other strength and conditioning coaches agree. What separates a elite facility versus like just the average facilities is your ability to recover. So every gym has dumbbells, has the ellipticals, all that kind of stuff. But who has the saunas? Who's got the cryo chambers, or even just an ice bucket where you can jump into? We're looking maybe possibly getting a massage therapist in, like a sports massage therapist or a chiropractor into the facility. So if you get the athlete package, you walk right off the mat, you jump in the sauna or you jump in the ice bath, you get out, you get adjusted real quick. If you come in early, you get some of those knots that are grinded out in your shoulders and your back before you get on the mat, so you're not further injuring yourself. So those type of things we're trying to put in place and get the right people in there. So
you're giving me a semi, bro.
Would that be not awesome to walk off the mats and be like, hey, my shit's fucked up. I need to work here. And someone,
bro, I walk off and like hop on the F train and I'm like all tied up. And then you know what I have? I got the Tim Tam, Firas Sahabi's massage gun.
Yeah.
And I put that thing to work. It's good, but I would love all that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, so I think that's what sets people apart. I mean, if you look at any of those major facilities, like the Olympic training facility, you got the same weights. They might look nicer, but they function the same way. But then they get a walk off, and they're like, "Oh, that behind the scenes is where the elite athletes have a difference than the average." So
and the old man too. The old man needs that stuff.
Yeah. I need that without even training. I just
I was gonna say, can I just come in for that? Exactly. Like I'll fight every now and then, but I'll be there 5 days a week just for the cryo, the sauna, the adjustment.
But I'll be in 5 times to get the other stuff.
Exactly. Really dope, man. We're gonna have to wrap it up. Just want to go over a couple things real quick. You're fighting in you're competing in the Worlds, which is when?
It will be the 7th through the 10th of October.
So right around the corner.
Yeah, next week.
And you've got a GoFundMe, which is on Grindstone's. It's in the bio, the link in the bio on Grindstone Athletics Instagram page.
Yep. Yeah. Just help pay for all that stuff that I need to get out to the Worlds.
Right.
It's more expensive than I was expecting.
Right. Especially these days. I'm also going to share the link, everybody, on my Twitter, on my LinkedIn, and my Facebook page, and I'll make sure in the post promo of this show, which will go right up about until that time, I'll highlight the Grindstone Athletics Instagram page on Instagram as well. So anybody that wants to contribute to Will's championship matches,
Yes, sir.
Please do so and give him a hand. Thank you so much, man. Really
Appreciate it.
great stuff. Such good fodder for the mind, and all these people listening that may be thinking, man, I want to do it. I want to take that step, that first step. I want to get in a cage and
Pull the trigger.
close the door, pull the trigger, but have a strategy.
Yes.
Don't just
Awesome.
don't just shoot your load like I do all the time. I got 3 kids. I was doing too much.
All right. I appreciate you having me on the show.
My pleasure, man. I'll be in touch soon. Good luck at the Worlds. And all of you, I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Peace out.
Awesome.